You're listening to the Loudmouth Radio Network. Wonderful Monday, guys. It's Sonny, and I am ready to dive into our 24th tip of the 25 motivational tips of Supercharge 2024. Guys, can you believe there's these last two aspects of this whole entire series that has been absolutely amazing and transformative. And today I'm actually honing into the conversation about releasing expectation of others. And this is something that is vital. I align all the time how amazing it's been that this series has aligned with so many things that have been going on actively in my life. And today I want to, my talking points are already ready. And I'm also going to share with you guys a book within a book that's mentioned. And I think it's just so important that we recognize that releasing expectations of others gives us such a vital opportunity to free ourselves and not look to others to validate us. I believe that our society has conditioned us in so many ways that we have to seek approval. With the rise of social media, it's so easy for people to be looking and hung up on who's gonna like to make the next like, who's gonna share my information, who's gonna tune in to what I'm doing. Now, honestly, let's just be transparent. What I do, radio, marketing, media, branding, entertainment, producing, acting, writing, I am definitely vying for people's attention. It aligns absolutely with what I'm doing. So it's a fine line sometimes in a balance of what that looks like. And guys, I think today is a great time to dive into this conversation. Y'all know what time it is. It's Monday, and it's time for Sonny's Monday Motivation. Let's go. Welcome to Loudmouth Radio Network. My name is Sonny. As a former professional athlete turned entrepreneur realtor and the producer of Loudmouth Radio Network, I look forward to bringing content to you that empowers, inspires, and entertains you. Tune in each week as we have unscripted and unfiltered talks from entrepreneurship, real estate, politics, entertainment, comedy, LGBTQ topics, day-to-day life, and everything in between. All shows available on demand 24/7 on your favorite podcast platforms. San Jacinto, Temecula Valley areas, and throughout the Inland Empire. Are you looking to become a homeowner in 2024? Register today for the New Home in the New Year seminar hosted by Sold by Sonny. Let's get you from rental to homeowner in the new year. Get the latest insight of down payment assistance programs, whether you purchased a home before or purchasing for the first time. We want to make sure you're provided with the necessary information needed for you to buy your new home in 2024. Look forward to seeing you there.
Diamond Valley Lodge, the one-of-a-kind, unique, exotic dining experience for the whole family. Have dinner with real tigers at Diamond Valley Lodge's 100% safe, unique dinner party experience. Ever dined just feet away from a majestic Bengal tiger? Now you can. A magical evening under the stars with open-air seating in an exotic Zen garden, just feet away from some of the most majestic creatures on the planet. All crown jewels of nature. Dinners are served on Friday and Saturday, brunch on Sunday. Reservation only by calling 855-9-TIGERS or 951-390-2670 or visit diamondvalleylodge.com.
Hi, I'm Hector Calvillo of J&H Automotive, located at 611 West Florida Avenue in Hemet, California. We are a full-service automotive repair shop where you can always expect to receive the highest quality repairs, fairest pricing, best customer service in the industry. My brother George and I grew up watching our dad work on classic cars as a backyard mechanic. His hard work ethic and dedication led us to opening up J&H Automotive in 2009. We started out with a 500 square foot repair shop, and we have consistently grown over the past 15 years to our new 10,000 square foot repair facility in the heart of Hemet, We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Call 951-766-5999 to set an appointment for all your automotive service needs.
All right, guys, releasing the expectation of others. Let's get right to it. I pray that this is going to give another impactful moment of reflection and give some talking points that make sense and that you can apply. And for those who may be tuning in at whatever point you're listening to this content, I'm always going to ask you to share it. So for us to have freedom of existence, we're given this natural ability of freedom of choice, right? But different things that happens in our lives, patterns, behaviors, just experiences, it molds us into the people that we ultimately become until we decide to change or not. So one of the things that I felt like that makes this such an important topic is that we'll tend to sometimes make the decisions of how we move or how we make decisions or how we interact with people based upon other people's expectations of us. But how about we release those expectations of others and really dive in on our own personal reflective ability? So in that, my first talking point is reflecting on your personal chart of self-strength versus weaker areas. And this is important because you can't know where you're strong and where you're weak unless you take the time to identify those things. And doing that is such an important step because you're always working on you. Your life is a work in progress all the time. And the sooner that we can get to the point of recognizing that being a work in progress is okay, and that sometimes discovering things about ourselves that we may not like or we maybe have not been able to see and others have been able to point out to us. Now, even in those levels of discernment, if that conversation is being repetitively given from various people, it's something maybe you need to consider and look into. Now, if you have isolated situations and you may be in the heat of something and somebody's giving you their own, thought process, it could be something that's just coming from a negative space that really has nothing to do with you. So you have to define what that is in separation. And then also you got to give yourself the opportunity to examine you. And in this part of the reflection, this chart, these personal charts that we create, will help us to identify what our strengths are. There's certain things about you undeniably that you're good at, that you're strong in, that you stand above so many other levels of things about yourself. Those are definitely your self strengths. The weaker areas are the areas that maybe we don't like to touch into, or we don't want to dive into, or we don't want to make exposure about it, or we don't want to even acknowledge that it exists. Trust me, we all do. But the uncovering of those things and the breakdown of those things and really actively working to overcome those areas that may not be so good of ourselves is power. And where we can't find the strength or the ability to do it on our own, that's when you can seek out, friends or a professional or maybe a support group or somebody that may be in alignment with the same area that you're weak in, and they can align and understand. And maybe you can even find someone that has been in that space, or they'll reach out to you and say that they've been in that space and I was able to overcome it. So it gives you something to strive and look forward to, that you too can become better and you too can acknowledge that this is a part that I need to work on. But the first key step is you examining you and acknowledging you. Number 2, log what your life typically contains and break down, even schedule maybe what your responsibilities are, things that you are responsible for. Maybe it's people, maybe it's situational things. Maybe there's a job or something that you have to do that compels you to act. And I think it's good to break those things down and match up, your attributes of yourself, and making sure they align. So for instance, you may have some goals of some things that you want to do and become in your life, and you're not there yet. So you log it down as a goal or a center space of a character point of development that you have for yourself. So you take those charting things and you look at the gapping of where you are to where you want to be, right? And as you start to achieve and break down areas that are barriers, whether it's subconsciously, internal, external forces, whatever they may be, And the closer you break them down and start to align, you'll start seeing that life will start getting easier. Things that you may have never been able to do will start showing up. People that you had never expected will start appearing and offer or solicit their ability, their advice, their resources, their time, their kindness, their prayers. It could be in all different shapes and forms. Only you can have the level of discernment to know what that is and what it looks like. Because the magical thing about it is that you know what you have divinely internally, what you've internalized to be part of your perspective and your goals and your decisions. And so once you've actually have kind of put that into the universe, if you're aligning with that purpose, it's going to start showing up in your space. It's going to start appearing in your life. Things that you would have not naturally been able to do will come in effect, and it's almost like it'll give itself to you. And for me, I live for those moments because it gives me that internal compass to say that I am walking in my path. I am staying on course. I am denying the distractions, and I'm focusing and I'm narrowing in on what I need to do and be. And if it's still not coming, sometimes we think that it's supposed to happen today. I am so guilty of it. Sometimes I have so much impatience. It's funny. I have lack of patience on some things. I can procrastinate on others. And then there's some other times that I'm just in a groove and I'm not rushing, pushing, or doing anything. I'm just working what I'm doing and I'm focused. So guys, I think even for, we're unfortunately a heavier society of people who are dealing with ADHD. I know that it ramifies in my life at times. I don't know. There's something uniquely designed about creative people in that element. There's something that intertwines, that connects those aspects, that makes it so viably possible that they connect in so many different ways. So just as much as there's these creative areas in us, there's other things that show up that makes it even challenging for us to do what we need to do to sometimes show up for ourselves. So in order for us to advance and to get to the levels of which we desire in our lives, we have to take the steps first. We have to dedicate ourselves to ourselves. We have to be intentional. We have to be non-excusing. We can't make everything or the aspects of all these elements be about somebody else. Now, there's times life will be lifing and things will show up. But what is our contribution to our own levels of destruction, or our own levels of gaps, or our own levels of delay? I know that I have delayed some aspects in my life just because my own pattern of decisions and behaviors or allowances. So, for me to be able to elevate, I have to make a decision of what's important. And is it important enough for me to lock in and not allow myself to be the excuses, not allow myself to be the reason why I don't get where I need to be? Because the one thing I think that scares me the most is I'm going to take my last breath and not do what I set out to do, that I knew that I wanted to do. And then I expect the universe to surprise me and give me even more of a high elevation of what I expected of myself. So as I'm winding this down, I only got a few more minutes of this piece, so I want to share something with you. I have a book here. It's called Choose Yourself, right? And this author wrote in a chapter called Choose Yourself to Live, and he wrote an insert about another gentleman that was a friend of his, if I'm not mistaken, or someone that he knows, Camille Ravikant, Ravikant. So James, the author of this book, he wrote Choose Yourself, Be Happy, Make Millions, and Live the Dream, right? James Altucher. This is his book. So he talks about Camel. I may be saying his name wrong. I'm sorry. But Camel or Kamal is probably the proper way to say his name, Kamal. And he was somebody he had been corresponding with. He was a blogger. And his interaction with him died off, and something wasn't normal that he noticed about his friend. So he kept reaching out to him to try to find out what was going on. And sure enough, Kamal had been going through a hard time. He had a company that had been doing well, and then he had a significant amount of money that was faltering and failing. He had recently broken up in a relationship, and a close friend of his had died. So just stuff was happening. And in this book, he says, often we attach our happiness to external goals, financial success, relationship success, and we get disappointed. Even when things work out, everything cycles, and happiness is often fleeting. So he said that during that time period, he was trying to hold it together. He was trying to keep everybody in line, his company, his employees, his investors, his customers. And what ended up happening, he was clinging to everything except his own happiness. And then Kamal wrote a book about his own experiences that ultimately became successful, called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. And in this insert, he says, I got better. My body started healing faster. My state of mind grew lighter. But the thing I never expected or imagined, life got better. But not just better. Things happened that were fantastically out of my reach. This I couldn't even dream of. I find myself using the word magic to describe what was happening. And through it, all I kept repeating to myself is, I love myself, I love myself, and I love myself. And in his book, he described his transition from sickness into health and how magical things happened to him. He gives a series of techniques and practices that you can try for yourself. And finally, he answered the dreaded question: what happens if you don't love yourself? Can you still get this magic in your life? So I'm going to stop here. And that's a book. This is a book to also consider to look into. It's a wonderful book. But I just wanted to close out with that and say that it starts and begins with us, guys. And I'm expecting us to be over and beyond our own wildest dreams. And I want to wish you a happy, wonderful, successful Monday. Later. You're listening to the Loudmouth Radio Network.